All right, your objective for today is to divide a multi-digit decimal by a decimal to the hundredths place. All right, so yesterday and the day before, who remembers what we worked on?
We were dividing.
Okay, dividing. And we were dividing a whole number into a whole number, right?
Yes.
Okay, so with decimals, we are going to use the same concept. We always want to get our divisor, D-I-V-E-R-S-O-R, to a whole number. Okay? So we always want the divisor to be a whole number. So if it starts out as a decimal, we're going to change it to a whole number. Okay? So that's kind of what we're going to walk through here today. So I know that my version is not very clear, but there are 6 blocks here. Okay, so if you can't see them. And so we want to know what are the dimensions of each individual block if all of them are 7 8/10. So how would I write that division problem to figure out what each mark is, or each block is?
7.8. You would do 7.8 divided by 6 divided by 6.
Yes, awesome. And thank you, Clementine. Your volume is really low, so I don't think they can hear you when you're jumping in, okay? So that's why. But yes, thank you all 3 of you guys that chimed in. So 7 8/10 divided by 6. All right? So let's divide. So how would I do that?
6 goes into 7 one time.
There we go. We can hear you, Clementine. Yay. Okay.
And 6 minus 7 is 1.
Okay.
And then you bring down the 8,
Yep.
which is 18.
So we're
and then
not.
6 times 3 is 18.
Yes. So right now, guys, we don't bring down the decimal point here. The only thing we're going to do with that decimal point is we're going to bring it straight up. That's it. We're not going to put a decimal point down here. And she is correct. 6 into 18 is 3. So this answer is 1 3/10. Okay? Whole number divided into a decimal. All right. So what about number 2? Yes.
By what time today do we have to turn in late work?
You can do it by midnight. That'll be fine.
By midnight?
That'll be fine.
Okay.
And actually, I won't even get up until early Friday morning. I get up Saturday morning about 7. So if you can do it before then, I'll check it then.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. I'm not going to work tonight. Okay? Alrighty. Or at least not on grades. I'll probably lesson plans, but not grades. Okay, so how would I write this division problem? 443 and 75 hundredths, and they use 12.5 gallons of gas. So how many miles can they travel? What do we need to do? What does that problem look like?
443.75 divided by 12 and 5/10.
Yes. Okay? And that's all they wanted for this problem is what is the division problem? All right. So we've always, or when we talked about fractions earlier, guys, so if I say 1/2, it really means 1 divided by 2, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So how would I write this as a fraction? That's what this is asking you for. How would we write it as a fraction? Not a mixed number, but a fraction.
12 over 5?
I see what you're doing. No, not yet. So isn't this my numerator?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so 400.75 divided by
12.5.
Yeah, so all we're doing is replacing this division symbol by a fraction bar. Okay? So it says, in previous grade you wrote a fraction and then an equivalent fraction with a whole number denominator to solve a division problem. Write a fraction and an equivalent fraction with a whole number denominator to represent this situation. So how can I get 12 and 5/10 to become a whole number? What do I need to do?
You would have to. What I would do is turn it into a fraction and then turn it into a whole number.
So you mean turn it into 12 and 1/2? But will that give me a whole number?
Yeah, 12 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15.
Girl, go back and multiply 12 times 2.
Never mind, I was thinking about something else, sorry.
It would give me this, right? 25 over 2?
Yeah, I keep myself away.
So it's still not a whole number. Okay? I'm going to give you a hint. Read C. What does C say we need to do?
Multiply both the divisor and dividend by the same power of 10.
Yeah. So if I multiply this times 10 and this times 10, what happens?
They each become.
Yeah. So I move my decimal point, right? So this moves this way to give me 125, and this moves that way to give me 4437.5. Right?
Yeah.
So now I have a divisor that's a whole number, and that's what I need to divide. Okay? So it says you can do the same process as in part B by multiplying both the divisor and dividend by a power of 10. What power of 10 did you need to multiply? Well, we use 10, right?
Miss Lavelle,
Yeah.
I can't understand you. Well, you're cutting out. You're kind of
Well, yeah, unfortunately, it's got to be the network here at school, so I don't know. I'll slow down. I'll try to talk a little slower.
It happens when everyone's
I can hear her perfectly fine.
Oh.
Yeah, we only have one person that's showing her video, and that's Jaden. So usually it happens when everybody shows their video, and everybody's off of mute, but everybody's on mute. So I don't know why it's doing that. So, all right. Well, we'll try.
Jaden's mic was on.
Okay. Well, we'll try to chug through it. Okay. All right. So hopefully you can see from here. We multiplied by 10. So we used 10, or you can put the power of 10 or however you want to write it. And so it says, why is this helpful to make the divisor a whole number? Well, it makes it easier to divide, right? That's one reason. Anybody have anything else of why it's easier?
Maybe because
I'm here. I'm listening.
then you only have decimal instead of like 3.
Okay. 3 decimal places, you think? It's easier to divide a whole number. I mean, how do you, besides converting them all into fractions, like Jaden first did, right? She said, well, can we make it 12 and 1/2? Well, we could. And I can make 443 and 3/4. So I could put them as fractions. Okay, but is that easier? Not necessarily. So it's just easier to divide with whole numbers. Much easier. Okay?
Can you leave that there for a minute so I can copy it down?
I sure can. right, so let's take a look at D. So it says, how do you show this change in long division? So this is what we would have started with. It's 12.5 divided into 443.75. When we move or multiply by a power of 10, we're going to move that decimal point. So this is what it gives me. Okay? So we can either use this on the right side, or you can use this, or you can use the scratch piece over there. Okay? But I want you guys to divide this out for me, and let's see what we get. Okay? So it doesn't matter to me where you do it, but I want you to try to do it on your own. Okay? And then we'll come back and check it.
Subtracting that.
Okay, so subtract it for me. And if anybody else has it, you can chime in. So what do we get, guys, when we do 443 minus 337? Well, let's walk through it. So this becomes a 13, right?
Yes.
So 13 minus 5 is 8, right? And then we borrowed from here, so that becomes a 13 again. So 13 minus 7 is 6.
6.
So we should have 68. Now we're going to bring down the 7. So now how many times does 125 go into 687?
5 times.
5? Okay, and what does that give me?
625.
Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to bring that decimal point up. Alright, and then what's 687 minus 625?
62, and then you bring down the 5, and it's 625.
So it gives me 62, yeah. And then bring down the 5. So we already know what that is, right? 5.
So then you do 5 again, and that's 625.
So I get 0. So how many miles does he get per gallon?
35.5.
Yep. That's a good miles. Okay? So it says, is it possible to make both the divisor and the dividend a whole number when finding Mr. Leon's gas mileage? So let's look at that question. So we did 443.75, right? And it was 12.5.
Wait. It would be, yes, because you could do it times 100.
Yep. So instead of 10, if I multiply by 100, which is what I think Jaden said, I end up moving 2 places, so it just means I have to add a 0 to the denominator, which is okay. And then I move 2 places here, and now I have both of them as whole numbers. So if you prefer to do that, convert the decimal to both whole numbers, you can. That works. Okay, and then we're back to what we did on Wednesday and Thursday, right? Just dividing a whole number into a whole number. Okay, that works perfectly if that's what you want to do.
Well, Miss Lavelle,
Yes.
won't multiplying it before you divide it affect your answer?
No, because I'll show you on a calculator. So let me show you the difference. Okay, so if I take and a calculator already does this for you. So if I take this one up here that we did here, so I'm gonna move up. Can you see that one? Okay, so if I take this one and I do 437.5 divided by 125, you can see I get 35.5, right?
Right.
Okay, if I take this one down here and plug it in, so 44375 divided by 1250, what does the calculator do? It gives
What
you,
about the original number?
well, the original number is going to give you the same thing. All of these fractions are considered to be equivalent. So what happens, so if I do this,
So even though you're increasing the number, it doesn't change the answer?
correct, because what happens is we end up having to add a decimal point at the end, and we're having to add zeros at the end to continue to divide. So let me give you an example. So now instead of going into 443, we're doing 1,250 into 4,437. It still goes 3 times. So that gives me 3,750, which gives me 687, and then I'm going to bring down the 5, right? And so we know that it's going to be a 5, so 1250 times 5 is 6250. So then what we have left over is 6875 is 625. So what happens is I have no numbers to bring down. So that's when I add the decimal point here, bring it up, and I'm going to add a 0, and then I'm going to bring the 0 down to finish it out. Because when we divide decimals, we don't want a remainder. So I know like Wednesday we had remainders. Well, when we divide decimals, they want you to continue to add zeros to where we have no remainders. And sometimes that doesn't work either because it's a repeating decimal, which means it continues to go on and on and on and on and on forever. And eventually you're going to stop adding zeros because it'll just go on. Okay?
Kind of like 100 times 3. Or not 100 times 3, but
1/3.
100 divided by 3.
Yeah, 1/3, yep. 1/3, 1/3 and 2 6, not 2 6. There's another one that goes on and on and on. 2/5, I think it is. So anyway, so hopefully you see that what happens is when you do whole numbers, you're just going to have to continue to add zeros until there's nothing left. So that's what that one looks like. Okay? So they're all equivalent, and they're all going to give you the same answer. It just depends on how you divide them out. All right, so do I need to hit pause? Let's move on. All right, so I want you guys to look at these two solutions, okay? And so this is part of your standard. So part of the standard says that you guys can fluently add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals using the standard algorithm, okay? So if you can successfully do those, that's going to put you at a level 3 on the FSA. Well, Miss Lavelle don't take level 3s. Miss Lavelle wants level 5s. So in order to be at level 5, you have to be able to look at people's division and figure out where did they go wrong. Okay, so that is what this problem is. So don't just look here and here. Make sure you come up here and read the problem and look at what the original numbers were. Okay, and figure out who's right and then what was the error that that person made. Okay, I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to figure it out because they're not asking you to divide. They're just asking you to figure out what is the error. Okay. Hey Siri, set a timer for 3 minutes.
Okay, your timer is set for 3 minutes.
All right, guys. So who figured out who is right?
I'm still trying to figure
I
out.
figured it out.
Okay, what did you get?
Kara was wrong.
Okay, why is she wrong?
Because she didn't multiply them by the same, the numbers by the same power of 10.
Awesome. So that's what we're going to write here, guys. So Kiara is not correct because she did not buy the same power of 10. Okay, so we should have done, right? So what power of 10 should I have multiplied by?
Probably,
Well, first thing, what did they do? They dropped the 0, right? So we can drop that 0.
Yeah.
So how many places should I have had? 1, 2. So what power would that have been?
100.
Yeah. So this one should have been 100, and what would have happened is I would have needed to add a 0 to the end. So as you can see, that didn't happen right there. She didn't add a 0. Now this person did. Okay? And logically, guys, you should have been able to look at that question and see that Kiara is wrong. Because who would buy a car that only gets 2 miles per gallon? That's not a lot of miles at all. I would never buy a car that did that, because you'd be constantly stopping at the gas station getting gas. So logically, this is the only one that would have made sense. Okay, and I'll go back up. I know some of
So
yours. How do they do what?
Never mind.
You see? So because her decimal point was in the wrong place, it caused her to get the wrong answer. Okay? And
Well,
yeah,
with that answer not being logic thing, how is that not logic when in some questions somebody's buying 100 melons?
but that's different. So if we're talking 11.54, if we're talking money, then that's okay, because this would be $2.70. But we're not talking money, we're talking mileage. And a car gets much more mileage than 2.7 per gallon. I've never seen, the only thing that maybe gets 2.7 is like a golf cart. Cars get a lot more than 2.7. Okay, Damien? Alright, so what I want you guys to do, we have still a few more minutes. I want you to move on to the check for understanding, because I think that's what's next, right? Okay? And try to work on those two for about 5, let's see, we get out of here at 08, right? So yeah, so let's give it about 6 minutes, and then we will get the right, go over the answers, okay? So 6 minutes. Jaden, are you dividing? Stuart? Okay.
Oh, if you didn't know I was here, and this is Kane Edwards, did you know I was here? Because,
I think so. Hold on, let me see. Kane Edwards. Yep, you got to check. I can see your guys' icons.
oh, okay.
Yeah. As long as you check in, as long as you sign in, I can see the icons.
Yes, because usually I was getting marked absent, usually. Well, a week ago, yeah.
If you were marked absent, that's because your icon did not come up. Monday, the 7th, whatever day that was, marked you absent. Because I did not see you come to class. Or you came to class and it was really, really late. So if it's really, really late and you miss half the class, then I still leave you as marked absent. But I don't think that was the case on that day, Kane.
Okay. Miss Lavelle,
Uh-huh.
can I turn my work on a different piece of paper? I don't have room.
Sure.
Miss Lavelle,
Yeah.
for number one, I did it times 100, and
Okay.
I got 35,625 over 950.
Okay.
And
I'm following you.
so whenever I go to divide, I wouldn't be able to do 356, would I? Because that's not enough.
Right, so you would have to do 3,562.
Miss Lavelle,
Yes.
on number one, for
Yeah.
when you're dividing and you have to figure out like how many times 95 can go into a certain number to above,
Uh-huh.
like if it's a 2-digit number, how would I write that?
How would you write a 2-digit, hold on, 3, 5, 6. So you did 95 into 0.5, right? This is what you did over here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you said 95 goes into 356. How many times did you figure that to be? Probably 3, right? Yeah. So then what did you get?
I got 285.
Yeah, so then the 3 is going to go right above the 6. Alright, so then 6 from 5 is,
6 and 5 is 1.
yep, this becomes,
Cross out the 3, make it a 2.
yep, and this becomes
Make 5,
15, yep,
That would equal 7,
yep, and then bring down the 2, right?
right?
So-
And then 95 goes into 712 6 times.
You sure it wouldn't be 7?
Yeah, because I did.
Well, this is almost 100. It's 5 less than 100, so it's got to go in there 7 times.
Oh, that's why. Duh.
Yeah, so that would be 665. I don't think it will go 8. Let's try it. I don't think so.
It doesn't. That's
No.
what I did.
Yeah. All right, and then let's finish this one. So 712, for those of you that are kind of following along. So we borrow, this becomes 12, this becomes 10, this becomes 6. So this would be 7 and 4, and then bring down the 5, right? And then here's my decimal point, so I'm going to bring it straight up. So 95 and the 4, 75, maybe 5 times? Yep. So this one would be 37.5 miles per gallon. Okay, did anybody get to the last one?
I could, like, do it, like
Can you-
start it now and I don't know how to word it, but
Okay, so what we end up with 25 divided into what? 13200. We can probably do this one very fast. So 25 into 132 would be 5, right? Which would be 125. So that would be 7. Hold on. I gotta answer my phone. Give me a second. Hello? Yeah. Okay,
Is it
I've
just
got
me or
a
is
few
he
minutes
a
left
lot
in
of
this class and then I'll be
calls?
there. Okay, thanks. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I said, is it just me or do you get a lot of phone calls?
Sometimes I get a lot of phone calls. Okay, so then we bring the 0 down, right? So then 25 into 70 would be 2, which is 50. I'm running out of room, no. All right, so then we get 20 left over, right? Bring down this 0. And then 25 goes into 208 times, which is 0. So 528 pennies is what Greta has. Okay, so I wanted to get that one done real quick before you guys left. All right, so you're on your own is not homework. Okay, so don't go work on it tonight unless you want to. But you will have time on Monday to work on it. Okay, so on Monday, you guys are only going to do problems 3 through 9 and 18 through 21. Okay, so 3 through 9, 18 to 21. I don't want you to do all of them because you're not going to be tested on all of those. Remember, level 5 is going to be justifying how people do their work and picking mistakes. That's what a level 5 is. Okay? All right. Any questions?